Welcome to Sonic Discovery. I am your host, David Correa. On this episode, we'll be covering the debut album from Cardi B, also new releases from Unknown Mortal Orchestra and Sons of Kemet. Well guys, thanks so much for clicking play on the episode. If you're not familiar with the show, what happens is I basically just go through different albums that come out every week, because there's tons that come out every Friday, and I pick a few and I review them here on the show. So you can, listen to my opinion and then from there decide to either skip something or check out something new that you may possibly fall in love with. Opening up the show, we're talking about the debut album from rapper Cardi B. This is called Invasion of Privacy. Now, if you're not familiar with Cardi B, she got her start actually in a strip club, and from there became a TV personality, being on the show Love and Hip Hop that was on VH1, and also just kind of became an Instagram star from that. She has released 2 mixtapes prior to this, and then signed to Atlantic Records to release her debut album, which came with the huge hit Bodak Yellow. Now, to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really a fan at first. I heard the song. It was impossible to avoid, but I wasn't really paying attention to what she was saying. As a producer, I just kind of kept hearing the same little melody play over and over again. Dun, 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 dun. And it got really annoying to me really fast. But now, having listened to the song several times and seeing her perform part of it live on SNL along with other tracks, I was like, wow, this girl's got serious skill. She is a serious rapper. And that's definitely what comes through on this debut album. So let's get straight into the album with the opening track, Get Up 10, which first, starts off a little calmer as she's talking about her past struggles and her life as a stripper and aspiring for more. But then the beat really comes to life as she starts talking about, establishing herself, and now she's here and no one is going to be getting in her way. Bodak Yellow, which I've already mentioned before, was a huge hit for her, hit number 1 on Billboard 100, and that is actually pretty rare for a female rapper to do. Here, she's riding on this very catchy beat as she's talking about not needing to dance anymore because now she's found lots of riches and success from being a rapper. I like the Latin feel on the track Be Careful, as she still comes on pretty hard, but we also get more of a tender side from her, as she's telling her man to not be cheating around. He's already got the world with Cardi, so why would he want to mess that up? Best Life has a great feature from Chance the Rapper, as they're both talking about, making the most of life and just focusing on success and not those people that are trying to knock you down on your way up. I like it. Shows off more of her Latin heritage, as there's a sample used from the Pete Rodriguez 1967 hit, I Like It Like That. I know you guys are familiar with the track. It's hey baby, I like it like that, I like it like that. Yeah, well, that song. But imagine that over a banging trap beat. And also here, we featured 2 Latin rappers. We have Bad Bunny and J Balvin, both laying down some great verses. Barty or Cardi is another single released from the album, this one featuring 21 Savage. And this has a darker feel to the track as she goes really hard and unfortunately ends up making 21 Savage come across as really soft. She Bad features YG, and I like this track, although I thought that they really underused YG. Yes, he has a verse on here, but he's mostly on the hook, just repeating, she bad, she bad, she bad. So yeah, he's basically saying Cardi is a bad chick. And she definitely shows us how bad she is on her verses. Through Your Phone is a mellower, more reflective track on here, as she talks about discovering that her man is cheating on her by looking through his phone. And of course, he comes back saying that she's invading his privacy, but he's cheating on her. So does that even matter? And then the album closes with the banging track I Do, featuring SZA, in which both ladies are talking about they do the things that they want to do because they can. And there's other tracks on here that I just didn't think were as strong. Like earlier in the album, we got Drip, which features Migos. And the production here is catchy. It's very much in the trap rap style. But here, you know, Cardi, we get her verse, and then the Migos go through their verses. But they really sound subpar when you compare them to her. Rain is a track that features Kalani, and this has more of an R&B feel to it. And here they're just talking about getting those calls from their guys. And then Moneybags, which is a more banging track on the album, where she's talking about her riches and success. But this just sounded too much like Bodak Yellow in both the production and her flow. Overall, I was really pleased with this. This is a great debut for Cardi. She definitely shows that she has a lot of skill as an MC, and the production on here is also pretty good. The only bad thing about it is everybody on this album that's a feature is, you know, just kind of sounds very subpar when you compare them to her. But still, a very good debut from her. I recommend you guys check this out. This is going to get a score of an 8 out of 10 from me. So if you're a fan of the tracks you've heard on the radio, there's definitely more on here that you'll enjoy. Up next, we have the newest release from psychedelic rock band Unknown Mortal Orchestra. This is called Sex and Food. This is the 4th release from Ruben Nielsen and the rest of the guys from New Zealand. Like I mentioned, they are a psychedelic rock band, but also definitely bring in some soul influence into their music. They've had 3 other great releases so far. Their debut album, 2, which is their second, and the last release, Multi-Love, are all worth checking out. And on this album, we get a lot of the same, but still amounts to a satisfying listen. The album opens up with a short intro, A God Called Hubris, which gets the psychedelic feel going as we head into the next track, Major League Chemicals. Here, it's another psychedelic track, but much groovier. I really enjoyed the music on here as they talk about a girl that finds her outlet through using hard drugs. Ministry of Alienation keeps the psychedelic feel going, but slows it down as he's talking about his personal reservations against technology. Honey B had a real nice bass groove and steady beat and a smooth funkiness throughout. I also really love the guitar solo that cuts through this track. This one is dedicated to his daughter, as he says, "Nothing is sweeter than the sting of this honeybee." American Guilt is the leading single from this album as we get a much harder hitting rock sound. And lyrically, he might be talking about the horrible things that this country does to sustain their global dominance. The Internet of Love, That Way, is a slower, soulful track with some creaky guitar effect and organ as he's expressing that this specific person is the only one that can love him that certain way. Everyone Acts Crazy Nowadays starts off and really sets up a dancey feel, especially on the hook, as he's caught thinking we might not amount to much progression past this certain point. The track has its catchy moments, but I thought that a lot of the sections here just don't really fit too well. This Doomsday is a somber, tranquil track that is guided by the guitar as he's talking with God on Doomsday's Eve. We get a return of the psychedelic sound on the laid-back How Many Zeros as he's posing the question, how much wealth does someone really need? Not in Love, We're Just High is a synth-led track that doesn't have the beat come in till verse 2, and then it finally comes to life on the last section. And here, they're basically just saying what the title said. We're not in love, we're just high. And the album closes with another laid-back track, If You're Gonna Break Yourself. This has a druggy feel to it with the altered vocal sound. And here, they're talking about someone that they're really close with who happens to have a destructive personality. If they break, then that will break you too. Overall, I really did enjoy this. It has a very familiar sound to the band, so if you've heard them in the past, it's very much aligned with the psychedelic rock they've done before. But lyrically here, they're taking on a little darker, more somber tone, talking about the world ending. But despite that, I still gave this album a 7.5 out of 10. So if you're interested in checking out some pretty great psychedelic rock, you can't go wrong with checking out this release. And the last album up for review is the third release from British jazz group Sons of Kemet. This is called Your Queen is a Reptile. Now, this is a band that is a jazz group, but also incorporates different Caribbean and African rhythms and sounds into their music. Something I really liked from this album is that every track on here, in the title, has the name of a woman that has caused some kind of positive change for civil rights throughout history. And that can be found on the opening track, My Queen is Ada Eastman, which sets up a good tone for the rest of this album with a groove that is played by the tuba and some tribal percussion going on underneath. The saxophone on here and throughout is also very much on point. There are vocals on this track along with two others. On this one, they're talking about, the resistance, people that are really being oppressed, people like minorities that are coming to different countries to fight for a better life. My Queen is Mommy Fitz Clark is one that incorporates more of a dub reggae feel with the tuba again, setting up a nice groove as the other horns are doing different melodic lines above. There are vocals on this track, but they're really tough to follow. My Queen is Harriet Tubman is a standout track from the album. This has a real fast rhythm and a fantastic groove that is bound to have you moving. This one also has a specifically memorable melody provided by the horns. My Queen is Albertina Sisselou is one that starts with a very memorable melody line that plays throughout with some variations. This one also has a nice groove and rhythm to it. Then the album closes with the track My Queen is Doreen Lawrence, which is another that provides vocals and a similar theme from before with lines like, don't want to take my country back, but take my country forward. As later on, it closes with a nice melody line provided by the horns. Overall, I was really pleased with this release. It's not often that I get to listen to jazz, so when a good jazz album comes around, I'm glad that I stumble upon it. This album is going to get a score of an 8 out of 10 from me. So if you're interested in listening to some jazz with some nice social messages behind it, then I recommend you give this a listen. Well guys, that does it for another episode of the show. If you like my reviews, make sure to leave a little comment down at the bottom. Also, if you have recommendations, anything you want me to listen to, you can leave those down there. And while you're there, feel free to hit the like or subscribe button, and then you'll know when the next episode comes out. On that one, I'll be talking about the newest release from Kali Uchis, so be on the lookout for